What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of BassQuest. Just got back from Florida, riding on the high right now. Caught some huge bass down there with Mikey. Got some videos coming back up on that. But I get home today, go out and do some work, and I come back, and all of a sudden one of my Facebook friends and another Facebook friend, everybody's tagging me in this post. Well, breaking news from News Channel 9 here, local news in Chattanooga. They found those daggum Asian carp in Chickamauga Lake, my home lake.
No, God! No, God, please, no!
And they're finding the silver carp already. There's been a report of it. They've got some pictures of it. I'm gonna link the article down below in the description. You guys can check that out. But it looks like we've got the carp now. And that begs a couple questions for me. Where did they come from? You know, they've been working their way down. They're in Kentucky Lake really big right now, working their way down the top of the Tennessee River system, and then also working their way up some of the river systems as well, you know, I guess towards on their way to Guntersville and lakes like that. So it's a curiosity to me how us being in the middle of so many of the lakes that are supposedly not affected, how we're already starting to see them. And that's very interesting because you guys know I'm out on the water 2, 3, 4 days a week sometimes, and I've actually been seeing the last couple years a lot of what I thought were gizzard shad, but in the shallows, fish that were jumping like that. You know how you see silver carp, they jump way out of the water. I'll show a brief clip right here of them jumping way out of the water. They do that when they're frightened or scared, and I've noticed that. I've been on some flats where I'm bass fishing. I'll cut on the trolling motor and be rolling around, and all of a sudden I'll see 2 or 3 fish jump, you know, 2 foot out of the water, and they look like they're some kind of bait fish. I'm kind of worried now that those might be those carp. So is this the beginning of the end for Chickamauga Lake bass fishing? I really hope not. I know that it's really negatively affected, and according to a lot of anglers like Kentucky Lake and a lot of these other areas, you know, it's miserable. I talked to Cole Sands, one of my buddies that fishes for the Bryan College fishing team. It's absolutely miserable for him, you know, when he goes to Kentucky Lake, because you're going out there and it's usually like a ledge fishing tournament, but you can't trust your graph because there's a million carp everywhere. They're inhabiting a lot of the same areas that the bass do. What happens with these carp, from my understanding of things, I'm going to link some more articles down below because I've been reading up on this, because we thought the carp apocalypse was going to hit us sometime within the next 4 to 5 years. So for it to be already occurring is really disturbing news for one thing, but it begs that question again. How big of a nuisance are they? Is there a way to get rid of them? And there's all kinds of things in the works. You know, people talking about, you know, designing some kind of pellets that only target the carp. That's been in the works for some time now. Going out, you know, they have these massive carp shoots like on Kentucky Lake to try to diminish the population. They're trying to encourage more commercial fishermen to target those carp species as well, because apparently they're fairly good eating, and at least as good as some of the other trash fish that you see targeted by a lot of commercial fishermen at this time. So a lot of big news going around. It's one of those things that's up in the air. I'm going to do some more research on it. We're going to talk about it some more on this channel. But I'm just curious to see what's happened. Again, this is breaking news. I don't have a ton of details. The article itself is actually relatively short. They basically say that they've had a confirmed sighting. They've got confirmed pictures. And they actually show one of them in the article itself. So things are happening. Things are happening. But you guys comment down below. I want to know your thoughts. What are some articles, if you guys have been reading up on this topic as well, what are some articles you have about carp control? I know another thing that I didn't mention before is like the dams themselves. They're talking about, you know, and they have in some situations put like these electric barriers up that keep the carp supposedly from going. But then my question is, well, what if you have a huge influx of rain right now? So, you know, last year we had tons and tons and tons of rain. They were pushing 180,000, I believe, out of our local dams over here, which is, if you don't know, it's extreme amounts of currents. I'm talking spillways opened up all the way, pushing lakes to summer pool and beyond, and it was crazy because they were already at winter pool. So I can only imagine the flooding that we would have had if the lakes were at summer pool. Well, right now we're experiencing the same thing. While I was gone in Florida, we had another big influx of rain. So we had like 4 inches rain. I was gone, we had 4 or 5 inches more rain. Well, now tonight and tomorrow they're calling for another 3 to 4 inches of rain. So they're already running almost 100,000 out of Chickamauga Dam right now, and I'm sure it's very similar in a lot of the other dams. So again, even if you're doing the electromagnetic system on the locks, when you're running these spillways all the way open, I don't feel like they're gonna be able to handle the sheer amount of water that are coming through. Some of those invasive species are gonna work their way through. So how will we as bass fishermen coexist and cohabitate with these new fish that are in our fishery? One of the things that I've read that these fish do is they're very prolific. So they spawn often and they spawn prolifically. Another thing that they do is they grow extremely fast. So they don't stay an edible size for any predatory species for a very long given length of time. So what happens is they outpace a lot of the predators in the ecosystem, and then they outpace a lot of the other just fish species in general. They're plankton eaters, so they feed on the same type, vegetarian type eaters or whatever, they feed on the same type of things that our bait fish feed on. So to me, it's going to be a stress on the shad population. Then you have these fish that are also growing too large for the bass to eat. I think we're going to see a Kentucky Lake situation where you see a lot of these skinny fish. You see, according to some of the reports I've read, where the carp will actually begin to produce so high that they become, you know, there's a certain biomass that's able to be sustained within a certain fishery or a certain body of water, a certain biomass of fish, and those carp can actually push themselves to the point where they can be 80% of the total biomass of fish. So you think about all the amazing species of fish that we have in the river right now. We have bluegill, you know, we have all kinds of panfish, we have all kinds of, you know, crappie, we have perch, just all the things you can imagine, all 3 species of catfish that I can think of, several species of bass. There's a lot of just naturally occurring fish, and of course I'm missing a million species there, guys. I can't imagine what the lake would look like if there was just these stupid carp going around. You know, it's all one species of fish, and you're trying to weed your way through and get rid of it. And I see these videos of guys, you know, playing with them, doing the, you know, the bow fishing thing, running their boats through them and having them jump and stuff like that and catching them. And it's funny in one way, but at the same time it's really sad. I'm concerned about what this is going to mean for the fishery going forward. You know, Chickamauga has been on a high for a while now with TVA, or TWRA I should say, stocking in those Florida strain largemouth, creating the F1 hybrid, which has really just changed our fishery in general. You know, before a 4 to 5 pound bass was considered a large fish. You know, you'd make the papers if you caught a 7 pound bass. Now all of a sudden, you know, Chickamauga has been pumping out teener size largemouth. They're just getting bigger. There's more and more giant fish caught. I think Fish Dayton does a count on the amount of double digits that are caught from year to year. I think right now, as of last year, they had over 100 again double digit fish caught, and I can tell you right now there's a lot of local guys that don't even report their catches just to keep pressure down on the body of water as well. So there's actually more caught than that. But it's really sad to me to see, or to think, that we might be in for a major downturn and maybe a lake ruining event. Because in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinions, you know, lakes like Kentucky Lake are devastated and they may never be the same again. TWRA, a lot of these wildlife resources agencies along the Tennessee River chains, they have no answer for this invasive species right now. There's nothing out there that I'm aware of that can really stop the onslaught, the steady plotting of these fish through our waterways. And so I want you guys to, again, comment down below any information you have. I want us to kind of pull together and do what we can as a community. You know, Chickamauga, these fishermen around the Chattanooga area are extremely tight-knit. A lot of these groups are. Let's see what we can do to help TWRA out. I want to see some ideas floating around in there. I'm going to be in the local Facebook forums as well, trying to formulate some plans on how we can help avert this crisis, you know, if it's actually coming. How we can, you know, help further what needs to be done to get rid of this species, manage this invasive species that's coming in, and hopefully there'll be a sustainable solution that will be found for not only our waterways, but for waterways all along the Tennessee River system, along other river systems that are being affected by this species. But I hope y'all enjoyed it today. It's not the kind of news that I wanted to give you after coming off of, you know, catching 8-pounders and 9-pounders and hanging out with Mikey for the last few days. But if you like the video, make sure to like it, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends. We're going to be talking about this a lot. I'm assuming over the next few weeks there's going to be a lot of guys talking about it, and hopefully we can start having some good dialogue that's going to lead to some solutions like I said before. But love you guys. Hope this week finds you out on the water, and I'll catch you there.